At the time Grandma took me away from the pretty garden house, I didn't understand why I needed to leave my parents and the home that I had known. I understood only that there was something not right with me. My grandmother was a wise and loving person who, as I grew, was able to explain the unexplainable. That I had been born severed from the weave. It was frightening for most, including my parents, and my grandmother had seen what frightened people are capable of, and so we left. Our new home was nothing so exquisite and beautiful as the lovely garden home, but it was peaceful and secluded. We and our sheep, on a meadow in a cottage secluded from the summer sun by a tall copse of old trees, lived quiet days and quiet nights. Our means were simple and our lifestyle humble. We grew what we needed, bartered our homespun yarn for the rest. People in the Dale lands had their share of magic and adventure in perilous times, so we kept to ourselves, reveled in life. Grandmother taught me all about the Fae and their ways, endless stories of magic and mischief, and all the ways to protect myself. When I was a child, I thought it was simple, whimsical fairy tales, of which I could identify with, considering my place of birth. After Grandmother was gone, however, I started to worry that all her lessons were something more. Maybe there was more to me leaving than I understood. Maybe I should be worried. After all, I had no connection to the weave to protect myself, and now I had no grandmother to protect me. A century passed by the Dale reckoning, and I lived as I had been taught, humble and content in my simple life, with my sheep and my loom. A source of passive amusement for me was the local superstition, which I knew only because little children would come and try to peek in my windows, curious to see the fabled witch who lived in the woods playing her drum inside her cottage. There was a boy who, braver than the rest, had creeped inside my window in childish mischief to prove he was not scared. He tumbled through and sprained his knee and squalled when I came near. His friends abandoned him in panic and ran home to tell their parents that the hag in the woods had eaten him. And after the sheriff had come and found him safe and sound, with a bound-up knee and a warm cup of tea in hand, the parents were appeased, yet the little children ceased being allowed to play in the meadow where lived the witch and her drum. My little friend with a sprained knee returned in a week or two to apologize for my broken window, and he sat by my loom and sang to the rhythm of the sliding shuttle. The years passed as they do, and day after day he would come to my home and sing the beautiful folk songs of his people to the rhythm of my sliding shuttle. It's a funny thing to live among beings whose lifetime is defined within a single century. Watching my friend grow older, seeing him less and less frequently, for he had signed with a merchant company that often took him across the sea. As a strapping man who had collected his share of grey in his beard, the last time I saw him, he promised he would return and marry me. Often I have looked across the moor, hoping to see his boot strides, with his sea chest hoisted upon his shoulder. But the years have been fulfilled that I know he must have completed his mortality. I hope he found a peaceful death, amid loved ones, in a place where his soul could call home. My soul has often cried for home, in the lonely hours, yearning for the pretty garden house where my parents and I could live in soft twilight forever. But suddenly no more. Very recently, one morning, I knew that everything had changed, and yet nothing had. I no longer felt a yearning for my twilight home, and suddenly felt as if the fingers of energy within my soul were all at once, and for the first time in my long life, entwined with the threads of the weave. Also flooding my mind was a lifetime of dark deeds, a desperation to survive, sinking, gnawing, endless hunger that could not be sated. Instead of living my quiet life of purpose and peace, suddenly I was driven to scribble arcane words and runes, not knowing where the thoughts were coming from, neither understanding what they meant or why I was so frustrated I couldn't remember them. Now, I'm driven to leave my home. For what purpose I know not. All I know is I can't stay here. If this is to be my last will and testament, please know that I bequeath this home to whomever may find it. Please take good care of the sheep. I've let them out to pasture. Please clean my grandmother's grave, and may the years of happiness and peace filled within these walls bless whomever may dwell within. I shall not be returning. Be well.